Revelation chapter 18, verse 3. For all the nations had drunken wine and wrath and fornication, and the leaders of the earth wakened in fornication for her. When the merchants of the earth are waxed rich to the abundance of delicacies. Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem. We're called Kadash, and the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Ba'ashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Ashkodash Holy Tongue, and I say Barakatham to the elders and apostles, Wa'akim, Wa'akwaf, and I say Shalom. And this is another quick sit down lesson, number 2. In Revelations 18, verse 3, there's going to be a title sit down lesson. And as we start to see more increasing signs that, we're living in signs of times in the book of Revelation, as we start to see, especially the virgin daughter of Babylon is declining. Even though, the virgin daughter of Babylon has been fully touched yet, now we're starting to see the nations are rising up against her, And that's why we're seeing the nations have drunken wine and wrath for fornication, just like in ancient Babylon. Now we're seeing, the virgin daughter of Babylon, the nations are strong. The nations are drunk off her wine and wrath for fornication, the ways of Babylon, And that's what we're seeing. So, I just want to add a side note to that, an additional side note. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 3. For all the nations have drunken wine for wine. Right, so all the nations have drunken wine for wine still to this day. Because this is a modern spiritual Tower of Babel. And this is the virgin daughter of Babylon, the mystery daughter of Babylon, sit upon many waters. It says, for all the nations have drunken wine for all the nations have drunken of her wine and the wrath of her fornication. Right, they have drunken wine of her wine and the wrath of her fornication. Because we definitely seeing the wrath of the fornication of the virgin daughter of Babylon, of unrighteous decrees, still to this day, because there's no new thing under the sun. For all the nations have drunken the wine for wrath and fornication, and the leaders of the earth, right, the modern leaders of the earth, have committed fornication with her, still to this day. And the merchants of the earth shall wax. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall wax rich to the abundance of delicacies, right, to the abundance of delicacies, because the nations of the earth wax rich with her through the abundance of her delicacies. And what it promotes of evilness and wickedness and unrighteous decrees and drunken out the ways of Babylon. Babylon, this is confusion. That's what it promotes still to this day. Because there's no new thing under the sun. So as I mentioned again, this is a modern spiritual Tower of Babel. And this is a modern day Babylon the Great. Because you got that modern day melting pot, which Babylon promotes right along with the ways of the mystery daughter of Babylon still to this day, right along with the unrighteous creeds. So we've been seeing more signs of the downfall of the virgin daughter of Babylon in many different categories. It says, for all the nations have drunken wine for fornication, right? Still to this day, now we're starting to see it increasingly. And that's why we're seeing the nations shall rise up against. So like it says in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, because they've been drunken of the ways of wine for fornication. Now we're starting to see the nations are starting to snap out of it. Even though you still got nations are still drunken off the ways of Babylon and then committed wine for fornication still to this day, and then others are turning away from it. It says, for all the nations have drunken wine and wrath for fornication, right? So all the nations have drunken wine and wrath for fornication and have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are wax rich to the abundance of the delicacies, right? Still to this day. So with that, hopefully this sit down lesson was edifying of Revelations 18 verse 3, and that was the title of the sit down lesson. So still to this day, the nations have drunken the wine for the wine and wrath for wrath and fornications, and the leaders had committed fornication right along with her as well too. And we're seeing that still to this day. We're seeing it increasing, and it's coming to full effect of this mystery daughter of Babylon that sit upon many waters, deceiveth the nations, unrighteous decrees to this day. And that's why we're starting to see the nations have drunken wine of her fornication, even still to this day. Even the modern day leaders of the earth as well too. This is so as I mentioned again, hopefully this was edifying of this sit down lesson number 2 as of March the 27th, 2026 on this Friday night. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Wakar Kadash, and the Heavenly Father, true names Yahweh, and His only begotten Son Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach Yahushai. Those are the true names in ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Rosh Hashanah, and Barakathon to the elders and apostles, Ba'akim and Ba'akwa. Until next time, I would say, Shalom.